Hey guys, this will be my third video now, and I've gotten a couple ideas to talk about from somebody on my Facebook to talk about relationships, and the most, right now this one's going to be about the most common questions asked about a relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. The first question is, what makes this person different or better than the other short-term people you've dated? Well, in the long-term relationships I've had, they never worked out. Um, Mostly because the guys cheat on me. And the first guy I dated was my longest term. It was 4.5 months. And I don't know, it made me feel good about myself that somebody cared, I guess that's normal. And then the short term is just like, oh, well, we didn't last that long. I guess we didn't really like each other, but it was worth a shot, right? Yeah. So that's what I think about that question, in my opinion. The second question is, do you ever have doubts about being with one person for so long? The answer to this question changes very much, but honestly, I don't. I I don't have doubts because I want a long-term relationship. I just want that. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And if you're willing to spend the rest of your life with someone like that, then it's beyond amazing. And that's all I can say about that one. But no, I don't have doubts. I've never had doubts about something like that. The third one would be, what do you do to push those doubts away? Well, if I had doubts, I would just try to ignore them, or just say to myself, it's probably not true, we're just going to go ahead and do this, or whatever. That's what I would do. The fourth question is, how important is communication? Do you talk out every little thing? Personally, I think communication is one of the biggest things in a relationship. And you might not talk out every little thing, but talking about your problems or your daily life or something like that to your significant other is probably a really good idea. Because once you lose contact and once you lose that bond, it's very hard to gain back. So my advice to you is talk about your everyday life and just your problems or what you want to do with that significant other, like on a date or something. Just talk about everything. Just, yeah, Okay. Fifth question. How can you tell the difference between a deal breaker and a small compromise to save a relationship? I guess it depends on how the person acts, honestly. Um, it probably varies a lot. So I would say on how they act. I don't know. I don't really understand what that question's asking. Sixth question. Did you always believe in being with one person forever? I always have, and I always will, because my grandparents, they would get together since they were 13 and like 14, I think, and she recently died a couple years ago, and she was like 60 and my grandpa's now 70, but I honestly think I think it's possible. And nowadays in this generation, I don't think it's not impossible, but to find somebody that's willing to do that with you is pretty hard because not a lot of people want a long-term relationship like that. Seventh question. Did you ever accidentally dress alike? Who has to change clothes then? No, it's never happened to me, but if it did, I would say the other person because I obviously liked that outfit a lot. Eighth question. What do you do if you really, really want to... Okay, I'm just going to not even read the rest of that question. Okay, not that one. Now, seventh question. Is it possible to be 100% honest all the time and not hurt the other person's feelings? It is possible to be 100% honest all the time, but without hurting the other person's feelings, I think you would hurt their feelings sometime or another. But it is possible to be 100% honest. 8th question. Do you have to spend all your time together? No, and I advise you to not do that, because that is what, if you spend too much time with them, then you are more than likely trying to do too much, or you'll get sick of each other, and you'll start fighting a lot, and then the fighting leads to complications, and then the complications you don't want to work out because you don't think it's going to last, and then after that, it just goes downhill if you spend all your time together. I honestly think you need breaks. I think it was the 9th question. How long can you keep avoiding the tough conversations with just stay in your honeymoon phase? Well, I've never been married, but from, my friends that have been married and everything, I honestly think you cannot keep avoiding it. I mean, there's always going to be tough situations and tough questions that you have to deal with sometime or another. You might be able to put it off for a long time, but eventually you're going to have to deal with it. Do you know... Okay, that's not even really... That doesn't even make sense. Do you ever get tired of the person that you've been a long relationship with? Honestly, I did at some points, because he always wanted to be around me, and I wanted space sometimes, and he would never give me space, so it got really annoying. But, I cared, and I stayed in it, but, he cheated, so, oh well. The next question is, do you ever absolutely hate your significant other during an argument? Well, in my past relationships, when we had an argument, I never hated them because, I loved them, but I never hated them. I mean, I didn't like the fact that we were arguing, and most of it was pretty stupid because, I don't know, we're teenagers, I guess, but I never hated them, no. And then, I've lost count, so I'm not even going to count these. How can you be sure your love for them will last forever? Honestly, you can't. I mean, you can say you know, but unless you read the future, you really can't. I mean, you can do everything you possibly can to keep them around, but at a certain point in time, if they don't want to be around you and they don't want to be with you anymore, then you have to accept it and move on, because that's the only way you can even think about living again. And like in life, you have to accept things and move on, and life is just like a big huge relationship, but with a lot of people. And now the very last question: how do you know this person is absolutely worth the work? Well, you might not know that until you're married 40 years, 30 years. You might not know that until then. But once you figure it out, you will probably be very grateful that you did all that work. And you did all that hard, tough questions and hard times and all the arguments you went through. You'll be glad that you did it with them. So, well, that was my video about relationships and long-term and short-term. So, tell me what you think in the comments, subscribe, and give me questions for my next video. See you guys next time.